Hello everyone, hope you're doing alright. This is Neon from Impromptu English with Neon, and today, as you can see here and read from the title, I'm going to discuss some reading strategies and some note-taking strategies. So it will be basically a personal explanation of how I personally take notes, and hopefully you'll also learn a lot from this, because normally what happens is that I also am victim to this, that I read something like absent-mindedly, and then I don't understand half of it. I have to read back, and instead of saving me time by me thinking that it would be done quickly better, and it will save time if I read quickly, what happens is that actually I need to read it again, and I feel like I'm procrastinating. So yeah, I'll be showing you some tricks of what I use personally to take notes and about how I read. But here, since it's an explainer video, I'll be going a bit slower than I normally do, a lot slower, because I'll be reading out loud. So normally I read in my mind. So yeah, so normally I don't. The way I take notes is that I sometimes take notes in the PDF itself, if it's an ebook, or if it's a PDF, not a book. So for example, what you can do in PDFs is that you can select something and then you can highlight it, right? And let me change the color, so it's normally yellow. So anyway, or you can even right click this, or you can select comment here, so you can write some comments and then you can post it, and whenever you open it, if you save it, these comments and highlights will be there. So if you didn't know about this, now you know. So let me revert back here. So I don't always take notes like this. I sometimes also make a separate Word document file to make notes. For example, I'm showing you here, this article is bridge half built. So I'll just be quickly showing you my process of how I take notes. I normally, like, since it's not an official or academic paper that I have to submit, I select any font I like. I like this font, so I'll just write here summary of bridge half built. And since it's a research paper, not a book, so normally research papers have introduction, literature review, right? Findings, conclusion. There are many other sections as well. There may be. So under each of them, I may write some bullet points. So I can go this route as well. But today I'll just be showing you the PDF version of how I take notes from PDF. But for your reference, here is another example of how I took some notes of a social linguistics course I did. So here, just a one-line summary, like what happened. Warda discusses 4 ideologies of language planning. So the article or the book was about language planning, and then I gave a bullet point and wrote here, and then I gave subsequent bullet points. So if you don't know how to create subsequent bullet points, let me show you. So for example, this is the new article, right? So you write whatever this, and then when you press enter, so you just press tab, then tab. So it goes like this. You press tab again, and it's a tertiary bullet point. Tab, 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 tab. Of course, you can also do this by your mouse. You can just select level, change list level, the secondary, tertiary, quaternary, so and so on. So okay, so I'll be going to the PDF now. It was just a sample of what you can also do if you decide to write notes on a Word document. So sometimes I also give ABCD instead of bullet points, because sometimes it helps remember the numbers. And I also often give some snapshots if it's very concise, for example in a book or in a slide. So you can also do that. You can just copy an image and then paste it. For example, I'm copying this image, okay? If I just paste it, Ctrl V, or if I just do it manually, okay, so it's really easy. Alright, So this article is a research article from the journal World Englishes. You can see here World Englishes, and the course I'm doing this for, the article where I've found this article for the course, is also World Englishes. So I'm just starting the course. I haven't even gone 1 month into it, so my knowledge and my expertise isn't obviously professional type, but still I'll do what I can. So the article is titled Coda 2, a bridge half built toward a holistic theory of second language acquisition and world Englishes. Alright, so second language acquisition is a very important term in our field, in ELT and applied linguistics. So this is my major. And second language acquisition means that when you acquire a second language, normally when we are born, we are exposed to our mother tongue and we learn it for, after a few years. We utter our first words at the age of 1, at around the age of 1, and children, obviously most children, 99% other than those who have some language related problems, we all master our first language, right? But it is our second language which we have problems in. For example, I am not that much fluent in English, at least not to my satisfactory level. So I have not mastered my second language in terms of fluency, you can say. And a lot of people have not mastered their second language in terms of writing, in terms of grammar, and etc. etc. So second language acquisition is a field where these researchers study how a second language is acquired. Alright, so this article from the World Englishes journal, so this also talks about second language acquisition. So this is another field from World Englishes. So World Englishes is a separate field of ELT, of language related, that field, linguistics, and second language acquisition is another subfield. Okay, so the writers Sridhar and Sridhar, they are connecting these two, and they're saying a bridge half built. So the bridge between second language acquisition, or SLA in short, and World Englishes, or WE as it's written here. So the bridge is still in construction. It's not complete. And the word coda, I didn't know this, I googled it. So a coda means a supplementary, like an addition. So these two authors, Sridhar and Sridhar, they wrote another article about 30 years ago. So it was in 2018. It's written here 2018, and also the PDF, as you can see in my cursor where it's pointing, it was written in 2018. And then 30 years earlier, actually 32 years earlier, they had written another article, and they're extending their argument in this article 32 years later. So let's get started. So the abstract of any research paper is a brief summary of the entire paper. So this is very important and very condensed. So let's try to make sense of each line of this abstract. In the concluding this contribution to this special issue, we return to the key issue that motivated our 1986 article on World Englishes, which is abbreviated WE, and second language acquisition, SLA. So here one thing I think I should address is that here this issue is not the same as this issue. So the issue here, to this special issue, I think that they are referring to the issue of a journal. So a journal may have several issues, like if a journal comes out twice in a year, then there are 2 issues of the journal. Like one comes out at June, another comes out in December. So there are 2 issues. If it comes out 3 times, then there are 3 issues. So anyway, and this issue, this key issue that's referred here, is about the bridge half built, their topic. So they're trying to connect World Englishes and SLA, these 2 fields together. This coda, as I said, coda is an additional information, you can say, additional argument. This coda begins by considering the impact of WE on SLA at a number of levels. So they're going to look at it from many levels, many arguments, with reference to the pluricentricity of English. So this is an important term, pluricentricity. So it means that English is not specifically central to a specific region or a specific country or a specific nation. We cannot, or rather we should not say that the English is for the people of England or the people of America. We shouldn't say that. So these two writers, they are saying that English should be considered as pluricentered, or their center is not singular but rather plural, because we also speak English. We are speaking English right now. It's not like we are not at the center of English, or our English is at the periphery, is at the boundary, rather than we are being in the center of it. So they're just in summary, what they're saying is that it shouldn't be considered that we are at the boundary and then Americans and British people, they're at the center. We shouldn't think like that. So this is the first number of level that they said that they will consider. This is the one level. The second argument is that the conceptions of the native speaker. So here, whenever we see something that is encased within quotation marks, you see these two. So here this actually means that the writers do not actually believe in the notion of there being a native speaker. So they do not actually think that native speakers mean those people whose mother tongue was English or another language. Here in this context it refers to English. So Americans, English people. So the idea that they are better English users than us, it's something that these two writers don't agree with. And then formalist ontology. So these two terms may be foreign to you. Formalist here refers to formalism or structuralism, as the idea that everything is structured and we should analyze the structures to understand the inherent meaning of something. But they reject it, as we will see later on. And ontology means existence, like meaning from existence rather than meaning from knowledge. It's a philosophical term, so we will expand on this later on. And functional perspective. So this formalist ontology is the opposite of functional perspectives, where if you consider that language, the main elements of language are the grammar and the grammatical structures, then you follow formalist ontology. But if you think that grammar may matter, but it isn't the most important function or the most important element of a language. For example, we can say and do a lot of things without following grammar, or in the same sentence with the same word we can mean different things. Our functional perspective, our functional the intentions, they matter more than the structure of a language. So these two writers, Sridhar and Sridhar, will argue in favor of functional perspectives. Multilingualism. So this again in traditional SLA literature, which I mean is that the past scholars of the SLA field, second language acquisition field, they used to think that the native speakers, they are the best because they do not necessarily have other languages which disrupt their use of English. So this means that there was an idea in the past, which now it's no longer believed by most people, is that native speakers normally usually have one language, right? English. Whereas we Bangladeshi, we learn English as a second language or as a third language or a fourth language. So for us it's more difficult to learn English. So he also doesn't agree with this. He thinks that monolingualism, or one language, if your one language is English, then you may actually face some problems with teaching English, with even using English, because you can't relate with the other people. For example, most speakers of English are not actually monolingual or not actually native speakers. There are some statistics. For example, about 400 or 500 million people speak English as their native tongue. I'm not sure about this number, it may be a bit lower. And about twice as much speak English as a second or a foreign language. So there are about twice as many second or third or fourth language users of English rather than people who have their mother tongue as English. So they think that multilingualism is better than monolingualism. And other dynamic approaches to SLA. So the writers are not mentioning every other element that they are going to cover, but the idea is that they are going to consider the impact of WE on SLA. So the field of SLA, second language acquisition, it was actually impacted by world Englishes. So world English scholars, what they studied, what they researched, they impacted on second language acquisition researchers. So they are going to highlight those things, that these are the things. For example, plural centricity, native speaker, formalist ontology, functional perspectives, multilingualisms, and many others. So those new ideologies or new things that SLA researchers believe right now, those were influenced by world English scholars. So these writers are going to argue that. We then proceed to consider recent critiques of the world English paradigm. So of course, every field has critiques, and there should be critiques, because we should be critical in evaluating them, whether everything that the scholars say are true or not. So of course there are also critical theories, and many people think some theories of world Englishes are not very comprehensive, they have flaws. For example, Katru's 3 circles, so they will talk about that too, and they will address that those critiques. And critiques may not necessarily be negative, okay? So it can be a formal critique, but it also has a negative connotation. For example, when we say criticism, we normally think that it's a negative word, but criticism literally means just being critical about something and commenting on it. So it can also be praise and positive. Before moving to a discussion of the current synergy, so synergy is, this term refers to collaboration, like a bridging. Synergy means cooperation between world Englishes and second language acquisition studies. So there are these two fields, SLA and world Englishes, are complementary to each other, and they help each other. There is synergy between them. So that's why the title makes sense more, a bridge half built. But the title also says that the bridge is not completely built. The synergy is not completely there yet. Okay. Noting that in many contemporary approaches to SLA, so contemporary means modern, or it may also mean at the time that we are speaking about. For example, if we say that the contemporary researchers have identified this, something, ... we mean that the modern researchers in this field or any other field have discovered something. But if we say that Shakespeare's contemporaries criticized him in this way, we mean that at the time that Shakespeare was writing, when he was alive, about 400 something years ago, so those at that time, those people who lived at that time. So contemporary may not always mean modern. You should keep a note of that. So let me actually take a note of that. Oh, sorry. Contemporary at the time of the thing discussed. So it's not a very good definition, but it makes sense. The monolingual bias has given way to a multilingual turn. So here it means that before, as I said, people used to think that monolingual people in English, they are better suited to learning English and use English, but it has given way. This means that it has gone away, and another thing has replaced it as the established norm, as the consensus. So this is the multilingual term. So here again he's saying that WE theories, world Englishes, those scholars influenced SLA scholars to change their perspective about monolingualism and multilingualism. Nevertheless, even if there is a far greater appreciation of world Englishes than 3 decades ago, it is still evident it is still evidently the case that textbooks in second language acquisition continue to be focused on cognitive and structural dimensions of language acquisition. So even though the bridge has been built, it is half built. The synergy is not completely there. So SLA textbooks, they continue to be focused on cognitive and structural dimensions of language acquisition instead of social, functional, and multilingual perspective. So this is what their thesis is. This was their argument is that WE, World English, has contributed much to SLA, to the field of SLA, but SLA has still not completely changed their worldview. That has not completely changed their perspective to be the same or similar as the perspectives of the researchers of World Englishes. So this is the abstract. I'm sorry because I focused on each and every line, but it was needed because it was an abstract. So let's go on to the introduction.